So there's a variety of things here. Very intriguing business, the ability to grow it. And of course, it's cash flow generative, largely self-funded, and will enable us to be a much more substantial entity for the rest of the portfolio. So it's, it really takes us to a different level. It ticks the boxes that we were looking for. Very much looking forward to working with it.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by Andy Butler, the CEO of Sunda Energy. Andy, very good to speak with you. You put out a lot of announcements today. Can you summarize what's happening at Sunda?
Hello, Stephen. Yeah, good to speak to you. It's been a little while, but as you've seen, we've been pretty busy. We put out a number of announcements today, and I'll touch on those. We've announced a collaboration agreement in Timor-Leste with a company called Sunda Energy to work together to secure a rig and collaborate on drilling campaign for Chudich and for their development offshore Timor-Leste, and that's a very helpful step. Talk to that. We've announced a transformational acquisition here in New Zealand, where I'm sat at the moment, where we are acquiring a business that has production, but also upside associated with development and exploration, of a very exciting change and move forward for us. And then associated with that, we've announced also a financing package, which includes a number of elements, including the third announcement we made, which is a retail offer to our existing shareholders who've patiently been waiting for us to deliver on some of these initiatives.
Andy, you described the acquisition as transformational. What makes it so significant for Sunda?
It's really takes us to a different level. I mean, we've had a challenging period behind us, and to move forward to where we are going, on completion of this acquisition, we will be a substantial production company, with over 1,000 barrels of production. The ability to grow that production, we'll be taking on a team here who are managing a portfolio of assets exceptionally well. A great team of people with whom I've spent some time today. And the opportunity to grow that production significantly through in-field activities and development work, and also to step out into an exploration opportunity that we'd look to drill later this year, which has the ability to more than double, probably triple production in a relatively short time frame. I like to say we're putting the third leg on the stool. We have a very exciting exploration project in the Philippines that we acquired last year, an area that's high impact, but also sort of longer term. We have what has always been our anchor project in Timor-Leste, in Chudich, which we've made the announcement around a plan to secure a rig in what has been a difficult environment to do so. And now we have a production leg as well. So, we've gone from a two-legged stool to a three-legged stool, which is obviously far more stable and has a good future in front of it.
Andy, can you tell us more about the assets and what's attracted you to them?
Yeah, I mean, so we've obviously been looking for a while to put that third leg on the stool, to be a substantial company, and are aware of a number of opportunities around Asia Pacific. I've always been intrigued with this area for quite some time. Kept an eye on it, but what we've seen is that the New Zealand government is very encouraging to inward investment at the moment, and it entices us to take a closer look. They're putting in place various initiatives to enhance their energy security, which looks sort of smart at the moment given the situation we find ourselves in. But the assets themselves, there's across five blocks. Really, it's a full cycle oil and gas business. On one end, there's some that are basically moving towards decommissioning, but the anchor piece is a very solid production asset in the Chile eastern side, one of the fields. And then there's opportunities to grow that production within the fields themselves. And as I say, this very exciting exploration opportunity that we see next to it. And then there's other aspects. For example, there's revenues that come from third-party gas processing. There's a really interesting gas storage project, which looks like it would be immediately profitable, which basically enables you to help manage energy security here through taking gas at periods of low demand and labeling it, go back into the market, into the network and at higher demand. So there's a variety of things here. Very intriguing business, the ability to grow it. And of course, it's cash flow generative, largely self-funded, and will enable us to be a much more substantial entity for the rest of the portfolio. So it's it really takes us to a different level. It ticks the boxes that we were looking for. So yeah, very much looking forward to working with it.
It takes you to a different level, Andy, but how does it change Sunda's risk profile and geographic diversification?
Well, it's a bit what I've touched on there, Stephen. I mean, we obviously we will now have 3 jurisdictions that we're operating, jurisdictions which are really very different between Timor-Leste and Philippines and New Zealand, but actually have quite a lot of similarities in some ways. And they're certainly one of the key sort of 3 themes that runs through them is our governments that for various reasons are very encouraging to development and which have relatively small sectors. So companies like ours are welcomed, and we can make a significant contribution to being there. So we've diversified whilst remaining within a theme. So we've different a broader asset base across several jurisdictions. We are strengthening considerably the team and our operating capabilities. So I think risk diversification is a big part of what we're achieving.
Can you explain the various aspects of the fundraising, Andy?
Yes, absolutely. And it's a long release that we put out today with respect to the acquisition. A lot of details in it, including quite a lot of complexity around the fundraising and the retail offer that I mentioned. That's part of that. And the reasons for that are essentially also that a lot of the fundraising is for the acquisition. The payment structure that within the acquisition is designed in a particular way to make sure that once a meaty acquisition for a company of our size is achievable, and it's achievable through phasing of payments. There's a deposit, there's a completion payment due when we complete, which is government approvals, which is probably Q3 this year, let's say August. And then phase payments beyond that until the middle or 12 months later, so let's say Q3 2027. So that phases it out, and we designed a funding structure that enables us to meet that schedule, but which also gives the seller complete conviction of our ability to finish the transaction, to fund all aspects of it. And that's really important. We're buying from an independent E&P company, but one that really has a shareholder that's a financial institution that will need the certainty that we will be able to complete. So that's the context to it. We needed to have that guarantee. So the funding structure to enable it to happen, there's contributions that are coming in directly. I'm sure you'll have noted I'm making a significant contribution towards it personally. And we have a very good support from an institution called Alumni Capital, who are putting in funds for subscription, some of which takes immediate effect, and also putting in place a convertible loan note structure, some of which will follow a general meeting, which we will have with shareholders on the 29th of April, and then later tranches of convertible loan notes. And those give us the certainty and underwrite the acquisition through completion and the payments later this year. Now we have got flexibility within those to not draw those convertible loan notes and to do different things. And we have a very good and supportive shareholder coming in with Alumni Capital. Later parts of the funding structure, there's a more flexibility again, and it will be partly self-funded from the asset and other things that we can do. So long-winded answer, Stephen, but basically structure that's built around making sure that we as a very junior oil and gas company can make that big leap up by to become a real production company in a sensible fashion.
Looking ahead, Andy, what should investors be most excited about following this acquisition?
Well, I hope that everybody's as excited as I am about the direction that we're heading in. This is for us, without repeating myself too much, I think in this environment, in this high price environment, this period of uncertainty and volatility, getting any deal done for companies of any size is a challenge. To get it done from the position we found ourselves in later last year is, I think, quite remarkable. So I'm very proud of the work we've been doing, on my colleagues and everyone we're working with to get it done. It's the start. It's the end. It's been a very busy period for us, as I'm sure you can imagine. Now we've got to this point, we can talk about it. Looking forward, we look forward towards, before I come back to the acquisition, within Timor-Leste, now we have a plan, and we look forward to moving forward and getting a rig contract lined up in an achievable, sensible way, in good order. And for the drilling campaign for which we've made all the preparations. So there'll be news flow associated with that. We're making good progress with the project in the Philippines, which is going on in the background. It's high impact, and we are seeing, not surprisingly in this environment, a lot of third-party interest in the project. So we expect to, we look forward to moving that forward. And then within the New Zealand business that we are, that we've signed an agreement today to acquire, this completion, which, as I say, will be subject to government approvals and should come through later this year. Roughly 4 months, I think, is what we home for. We're aiming for, so that would be August. Certainly 4 to 6 months is the guidance. And then beyond that, a rapid move towards drilling the exploration well we were talking about, at which point we would already be a significant production company. We would be having a number of initiatives to maintain and increase that production, lots of news flow associated with it. So, we're looking forward to what's going to be a busy rest of the year with transition, with moving forward on Timor and Philippines, and integrating the company that's here, the team that's here, and starting on an exciting new journey.
Well, congratulations on these latest developments, Andy. I hope you'll keep us updated on your progress.
Certainly will. Thank you, Stephen. Great to talk to you.
And you, Andy Butler, the CEO of Sunda Energy.